The British summer is finally here and camping vibes are in full swing. I'm going to head up to this ridgeline on this hill and buzz in, and I'm going to set up overlooking the lake. To find out what's in this pack for an overnighter, keep watching. Oh my goodness, this is just incredible. Look at this, that view between those two trees. How still the lake looks. Somewhere up here, somewhere up on this high ground would be absolutely perfect. I'm kind of liking a spot over here at the moment. My eye is just trying to pick out any sort of, or maybe over there. Oh wow. To actually be able to come and set some overnight stuff up here on the edge of this, it's just amazing. Some of you may notice I'm using my Tasmanian Tiger Raid Pack, okay, with a tack-line pouch on the front. So this is the same stuff I used for my winter setup on my South Downs weight attempt with ex-Royal Marine Carl. Just look at that. I'm going to be fairly quick about this because we're racing the light and I want to be set up eating my evening meal watching that. So for these kind of summer night excursions, going with something like the tarp and pole option really lends itself to a field with that type of incredible view. I'm going to take you through setting up this tarp and all the elements that make up this pack. So we are using the 3x3 multicam from DD Hammocks. Now, it really doesn't matter which way up I put this, and my inner mildly OCD demons are telling me we're going to have to turn this round so the label is front facing. Now that is utterly ridiculous because this thing is by and large equally created the whole way round. Do more of what works and less of what doesn't. Somebody very wise once told me. Just realised this ground is full of stones. Pin the corners first. Anyone who saw our backyard bushcraft video will know the importance of pinning the corners. It's all about creating tension in the right places. May need to go and readjust these. But as I said, if we're out on the edge of the field here, we've got loads of evening light to play with. So looking at this thing as it's lined up, taking this top corner, and all I'm doing is moving the position of the top corner, the one on the top corner, to where the next one in would be. And I'm going to pin it there. It's really not rocket science. And it's not an exact science either. Well, it's not quite the exact science I think a lot of people think it is. Take the pole up the middle, I'm going to climb inside and just give it some form. I'm just using a walking pole, nothing too fancy. And again, this is a kind of a light and airy summer setup. The pole adjustment thing can be a little bit of a science, but you know, it's not exclusive. So finding that sweet spot where to put the pole is a little bit of a practice thing. I couldn't definitively say that you have to put it on one of these fixing points underneath. It's kind of a bit of a test and adjust type of thing. So there you go, you can see the amount of room in there, and that's going to be my view. I mean, what an incredible place to be setting up, and to think pretty soon I'm going to be having my evening meal overlooking that lake. Now I'm going to take this one here and peg it out somewhat, and I'm going to do the same with the other one on its opposite number, so to speak. But then I'm going to hang fire for a moment because I need to put a tiny bit of cordage just so I can pin this porch back and down to here. I might just be able to do this without the need of a little bit of cordage. Sometimes it can be a bit tight. If that will hold, I'm happy with that. So you can probably just detect a little bit of wind on the mic, and that's because I've put the orientation of this particular setup with its back to the sort of southwest. I'm looking north over the lake. I'm just going to try and pull this over slightly more, so I've got this nice little tactical kind of post box doorway, and it's not kind of mission critical, but this just allows me that room to crawl up into there when it's time to go to sleep. But for the most part, this open little porch area is going to be my admin space. This is where I'll cook my evening meal before crawling up into there. The next piece of the puzzle, the mighty British Arctic sleeping bag. I've never had a bad night in one. I know what you're thinking, this is an Arctic sleeping bag. Why are you going for that massive amounts of overkill? Because I can lie there with the zip undone, inside the bivvy bag, loads of air moving around me, and I know I'm not going to have a bad night. And if the temperature does drop for any reason, we're in a valley, I can just crank up the zip. I'm even using, because this is part of my winter setup, the luxury of a ground sheet. I've got a very early military poncho here, which is purely used as a ground sheet. I can sit on that, I can keep my bum dry. When it's time to go to sleep, I can stick that in underneath where I'm sleeping. I'm then going to have my military sleeping bag, my Gore-Tex bivvy bag, and in my TAC 9 pouch on the front, a present I brought for myself earlier this year. This is the XL sleeping mat from Berghaus. This thing is absolutely amazing. So what I really love about this, other than the fact that it's pretty self-inflating, is the width. Somebody as wide as myself has had to suffer most of my military career and any of my civilian camping experiences at the wrath of the finely tapered roll mats that are out there on the market today, all with outrageous claims about how light they are and how well they work, but they're like the tapered end, they're like this wide. I end up with cold shoulders and cold spots on the back of my shoulders. So I've treated myself to an XL. I'm going to make sure I've got my light source on my head somewhere I can't lose it. I don't need the map, I know where I am. I've got access to my warm hat in case the temperature drops drastically. And then in the top pouch, things like gloves, okay, first aid kit, a racing spoon, and we're looking in the side pouches now. That all important toothbrush, which I'm going to shove in the top flap so I know where it is. I've got a cook pot, I've got my Nalgene bottle nesting inside my Stanley cup. That's pretty much my cooking gear. And then down here in these two side pouches, for those of you who remember, I use one for keeping the bottle if I want to go for a wee in the night. That'll be in my pack once that's all dragged up into there. I've got some wet wipes for cleaning up after I've finished eating. And then the other side, I've brought with me just one whopping gas bottle, because that's all I'm going to need tonight. I don't need a fire out here in a farmer's field. I'm now going to set up and start cooking my evening meal, as I think I've only got 25 minutes to half an hour left and the sun's disappearing over the hill. I'm testing out this really lightweight little titanium setup somebody sent me recently. I can't tell you who makes it off the top of my head. If you at home recognise this particular setup here, let me know. So with a big Primus gas, and it's got these fold-out plastic legs which clip onto, and these are very in size, so they can work with different size gas bottles, and it just gives you that extra bit of stability. Top tip: always fold your ground sheet away. Hard lessons learned in the past, so that it doesn't get itself into any bother. Have a good set of leather gloves on standby in case you need to grab something quickly that's got too hot. So this is the MSR Seagull pot. For those of you wondering, I think this is the 1 litre. I've had many of you asking me in the past between the 750, the 1 litre and the 1200, and I think this is the 1 litre. I've used it to hell and back. And those of you who remember where I did the planking video where I cooked everything, where I'd pinned all of the food, I did a Chew Valley surf and turf and pinned all the food and cooked it and roasted it in the fire. I used the lid here to do those little cherry tomatoes. So it's never quite been the same since. This is what's known in the armed forces as a pot mess. Next goes the pasta, tomato pasta mix, all in one. All the additional seasoning. Keep all your rubbish minimised wherever possible. Keep it in like one little container off to one side and put it away in your bag so that animals don't come and grab it throughout the night. I'm going to add a tin of tuna shortly, just for good measure, once this is all heated through. I'm not going to put too much in there. We'll see how this new cooker fares up. While this is cooking, I'm just going to enjoy the final throes of sunset over the day. Just as watching the sun go down over the hill here, this really is what it's all about for me. My interaction with this landscape, my rewilding, so to speak, my journey, what I choose to do for a living, everything culminates in moments like this. So it really is this simple to just take that step back and de-stress from normal life. So with these few relatively simple items, I already feel a million miles away from the stress that I experienced earlier this week. See you next time.